Never been early enough to catch a stream before? Well, there you go. You're early enough. Welcome. I am just back from 6 days of vacation, so I haven't done a live stream since but it's been over a week, I think, since I did a live stream. So let's just start out. Welcome to all the new subscribers. There's probably been about 10,000 new subscribers in the past week. I do live streams a couple times a week, and I offer usually my book for sale during the live streams at 20% off, but everything in my store is 20% off. All my merch, my t-shirts, my coffee mugs, everything's 20% off, and the code is RB746. Is that right, Carol?
Yeah.
20% off everything. And one other thing, I've got a master class, live master class here in Atlanta on the 21st of this month. So it's 10 days from now. There's tickets, there's no VIP tickets left, but there's still tickets for the master class. You can sign up, you can buy them on my website at rickbeato.com. Welcome to everybody new. Okay, this is a chord substitution for pop songs talk. I've never really talked about this before. I talk about jazz chord substitutions. I'm going to talk about using them in pop songs. And one of the reasons that I was thinking about this, I was talking a little bit earlier with Carol about the mu chord. If any of you have heard of the mu chord, it's a chord that Steely Dan used to use. That is, they used it in songs like Peg, you know. That's the mu chord. Okay, now I'll call it either a minor 7 sharp 5 chord. I'll call it a first inversion major chord with no third, or with a third in the bass. I will call it a chordal voicing. This would be C chordal, because it's got 2 stacked fourths over D. But they call it the mu chord, M-U. I have it right here, right? So I'm going to talk about substitutions for major chords, minor chords, and dominant chords. So when you're writing a tune and you're thinking like, man, I use the same chords all the time. I don't want to use G, C, D, E minor. I want to spice it up somehow. Okay, this is when you start using some substitute chord changes. Let's talk about substitutes for major chords to start with. Okay, so obviously some of your first chords that you can use are major 9 chords. Now I just played a major 9. So instead of a D major chord, let's say, these will work on keyboards, they'll work on anything. This would be a D major 9, no third. Okay, this is Steely Dan used this a lot. This is really A major over D, but it's a D major 9, so I've got an A major triad over D. There's no third. If it has the third, it'd be, whoops. If it had the third, it'd be a D major 7. But this is D major 9, no third. Okay, this can be substituted if you do 2, you know, you could do many different things, like 2, 5, 1, like that. The E minor to A major, or A sus to D major 9. So that's one possible substitution for a D major chord, okay? Like I said, they would use it, and they used it in Steely Dan all the time to go from that to this mu chord, to this first inversion major chord. Instead of going from D to A, they go, and it's just a fresher sound. And honestly, most people don't use this anymore. Steely Dan used it over 30 years ago, sometimes 40 years ago. And if you start using it in your own songwriting, it'll sound fresh. People say, oh, I've never heard that before. Pretty much because they never heard Steely Dan. But that is a great substitution. Next substitution is a major 7 sharp 11. Major 7 sharp 11 is a really great sound that can be done a couple different ways. I can play it, the chord like this. Let's say I do a G major 7 sharp 11. So this chord right here has a suspended voicing in it. So this is really a, this would be an F sharp suspended 4, right? So you got F sharp, B, C sharp, F sharp over G. But really we call it a G major 7 sharp 11. Now, how would you use that? Well, you'd use it, you know, I could go from B minor to G major 7 sharp 11, which is a really great sound. It uses voice leading. B minor is a common chord. You play it on your keyboard. So you have this motion, the D down to C sharp, and your B to G, right? So that's and you could go like this even. That's a nice sound there. That's a minor 11. We'll come to that in a second. The next chord is the major 13. The major 13 can be used in the same way that the major 7. These are all substitutes for major chords. Typically, you're going to use a substitution when the chord is the 4 chord in the progression. So if I have, if I'm in G major, the 4 chord would be C major. Okay, so if I'm in G and I play G, E minor, B minor, C, I could go G major, E minor, 7, B minor, 7. I could do a C major 7, sharp 11, or I could do a C major 13, which would be a sound like that, or sound like that with the major 7 and the with the 13 and the sharp 11. So it's a really cool sound. Another spot that chord is actually used is in a song by Stone Temple Pilots. On Vaseline, they use that. That's the main chord that they use before they start the verse part for the riff. And everybody's like, what is that chord? It's a B major 13 with the sharp 11. Okay, so that's another. You'd use it in place of a straight major chord. Okay, so you could go C minor, F major, to G, B flat major 7 sharp 11 with a 13. Okay, now you can take these voicings. These are not guitar voicings. They're voicings to be used on any instrument. You know, it's I happen to be doing them on guitar. They work exactly the same way on keyboards, and they sound great. Okay, so that's your major 13 and your major 13 with a sharp 11. The major 13 would sound like this. Major 13 sharp 11 sounds like that. Yes, Carol?
Someone just wanted to clarify. He's a bit confused, I think. So is the minor 7 sharp 5 the mu chord, or is it an add 9 chord? It's
all of them. Okay, the minor 7 sharp 5 chord is the same thing as the mu chord. Okay, it's really the same thing as a major triad, a major add 9 chord in first inversion. Okay, that starts to get confusing. If I take this chord here and you call it C sharp mu, okay, well, this is all the notes of A major add 9. So A, B, C sharp, E, but they're spaced out differently. C sharp, B, E, A, okay? So it's all the notes of A major add 9, just in first inversion, but it's in a very specific voicing. That's what's tricky about it. That's why you can call it a minor 7 sharp 5. Larry Carlton uses this. He has a tune, you'll hear, I mean, guys in the 70s used this a lot. This was a really common chord substitution that was used in pop music. Okay, so is everybody straight on that? Okay. A sus4 and sus2 can also be used. That's very common. So if I'm doing G, C, E minor, D sus4, instead of going to D major, it's nice to keep that suspension there, right? G major add 9, or G, that would be G sus2, to E minor 7, to C major 9, to D sus4, okay? Free falling, you guys hear these kind of chords all the time. These are, the sus4 is a sub, this would be a sub for 5, but it could be used for anything. You could use it as a sub for 1. The next thing I'm talking about is the sus2. This is a G sus2 chords. The first chord I did was a sus2, so I'm combining a sus2 and a sus4 in the same progression. So G sus2, and it's a sus2 because That would be G major, G, B, D, G, D, G. But this is, I suspend the A there, and I left out the B. That's why it's called the sus2. So you got G sus2, E minor 7, okay? Then C, or I can do C sus2 to D sus4, okay? And you hear Tom Petty use those things. I mean, everybody uses those chords. Max Martin, you name it. That's in pop music. That's been in pop music forever. The sus2 chord and the sus4 chord. The sus2 chord, obviously, you know. If you think of Stairway to Heaven, right? Or sorry. They're going from D to D sus4. Then he goes, he's doing C major add 9 to C major 7 with a sharp 11. So he's using another one of these substitutions. I think he plays an E in it. Somebody's playing an E in that chord voicing in Stairway to Heaven, which is cool. C major add 9, C major add 9 sharp 11. Great sound. So that's combining the sus4, the add 9 and the add 9 with a sharp 11. Okay. Sus4 2. That's kind of a cool thing that a lot of people do not use. The sus4 to sus2 is a double suspension. Carol, everything okay?
Yeah, just copying the board.
Okay. So this is a really cool chord that I like because there's a lot of good voice leading that you can if you're doing you know. Right? So that is a sus4, sus2 chord. Then we have this sus2, sus6 chord, which a lot of people don't play, or you can do sus4, sus2. I'll do sus4, sus2 here. So this is sus4, sus2. Okay, so this would be an A sus4 with the sus2 on the top, sus4. You'll hear guys like Alan Holdsworth will use this, but this is very commonly used in pop music by people that know what they're doing. You also have the sus4 3, which I really like something like this. This works better on keyboard, so this would be a D sus. Oh, that's a stretch, right? That's a D sus4 3 right there. D. I got the D major there with the sus4 on top. Very hard to play. Same chord is cool if I put an E in the bass. So I'm using that D sus4 3 and I put E in the bass. That's a great, great sound. Sus2, sus6, okay, works. It's very similar to sus2, sus4. If I played it here, it would be the sus2, sus6. Another double suspension. So here's your sus2. Here's your sus2 with the sus6. There's a Linkin Park tune called It's Easier to Run that they use that chord in the progression. It's actually a perfect use of the sixth on a major chord because they have the sixth and the sus4 combined. Because of that, the interval combination, it doesn't sound weird. Really nice. Love that sound. Okay, let's go. Moving on to minor chords. Okay, so minor chord substitutions. You have the minor 9. Minor 9 chord is a great sound. If I was, let's say I was going to do something, you know, C sus2 to, let's see, C sus2 to E minor 9. So I've got E, B, D, G, D, F sharp. That's F sharp's my minor 9 chord. So I do C sus2, to E minor 9. Very, very cool sound. I got the 7th in there, the flat 7, and the 9th. It's a really great sound to use, right? So if I'm G major, C sus2 to E minor 9, and you could go to A sus4, right? That would be a really cool way to modulate using voice leading, all right? So you got your minor 9, your minor 11 chord, really commonly used. The song Clarity by Zedd it starts on a B minor 11 chord, B flat minor 11 chord, which is right there. If I were to play it down here in F sharp minor 11, you hear that sus4 chord in there, or sus2, A sus2. I mean, it could be a sus2, it could be E sus4 over F sharp, or A sus2 over F sharp. They're the same chord, same different note order, but F sharp minor 11, great sound to use as a sub for F sharp minor, boring, hip. Okay, boring, hip. You can also play it like this. You hear Oasis use these chords a lot. Very dark. Love that chord. I use that as a sub all the time. That's one of the best chords to solo over as well as writing melodies. And one of the reasons it works well for soloing and writing melodies is because that voicing has the 2 half steps away from a chord tone. So the flat 7, which is here, you have the note da, which is the 13, which would be that note D sharp. But and you have that major 9 there. So it'd be F sharp minor 9, right? Or F sharp minor 13. You hear Sting use that a lot. The Police use that chord all the time. These are what makes your songs sound way cooler than they are, okay? It also makes your melodies more interesting. This chord in particular, because there are 2 chord tones that have a half step below them, which creates a beautiful dissonance. The 9th has this interval. If I, and the 13th has that interval. And they resolve nicely up. If I were to do, C sharp minor, I could go or I could go da, C sharp mu, da. That's a great sound. Instead of going A to F sharp minor, I'm going to go C sharp mu. Way, way cooler, right, Carol? Carol likes it. So instead of going A major, F sharp minor, boring, do a first inversion A major, add 9, or the C sharp mu to F sharp minor 11. Listen again. Boring. Very hip. Or you could do. Okay. Really great sound. That brings me to the minor 13, which I just talked about. So that would be F sharp minor 13. It's a really great sound as a substitute chord for F sharp minor. So you go C sharp minor to F sharp minor 13, and that'll work great in a pop song. Oh, I have one more chord I left out of this the major chords, and it's the major 7 sharp 5. And if you use it in pop music, it sounds really cool, but you have to use it as if it's a suspension leading up to the 6th. So let's say I have the chord, I'm in D major, and I've got E minor to A7, but I'm using A7 sus4. Then I could go F sharp, D major 7 sharp 5 to D major 13. It's a really cool substitution to use, and rarely used, but there's a record I did about, 14 years ago or so, and the singer in the band, the writer, is a solo artist. He used that chord in it, and that's a chord that I only used in jazz, and it worked perfectly, and it was sounded so fresh. Everybody that heard that always would say, "Whoa, what is that? I got to use that." And he used an E minor 7 to A7 sus4 to D major 7 sharp 5 to D major 13. So that da, da, it's a great sound, and rarely used in pop music, but totally could. You could hear that in a song that's a big song on the radio, and it would not sound out of place. People would hear it and they go, "Whoa, what is that?" Or they would just accept it because it has, as long as you resolve it properly, it'll sound completely normal. Okay, minor 9/11 chord. Minor 9/11 chord would be something like this. I'll do it again in E minor because it's easy and I got the root. This would be this kind of a sound. Okay, so I'll give you an example of, this could be used just as a straight substitute for E minor. So I could go G major. I did G major with the ninth there to E minor 9/11. It's got the ninth in it. It's got the 11th in it. Okay, it has this low E minor triad, and then you have the rest of the chord there that spells it out. You can also do really hip things. You could go A flat minor 11 to D flat 7 sharp 9 sharp 5 to E minor 9/11. That is a great. That's a progression that my friend Ide Nessen used in a tune that I did an analysis of on one of my earlier videos, and it's an incredible chord progression. But it's A flat minor 11 to D7 sharp, D flat 7 sharp 9 sharp 5 to E minor 9/11. Now that is a really hip chord progression. You'll hear this song. Somebody said D'Angelo. Yes, you'll hear it. This is actually all over pop music. This is just a great, instead of a boring E minor, we have the E minor 9/11. I talked about the mu chord. Moving on to dominant chords. Okay, dominant chords are substitutes for major chords, and or these dominant chords are, meaning it's the 5 chord in the key. So if we're in the key of, let's say, G major, I could use a D dominant 7 sus4. So if I'm in G, here's a dominant 7 sus4 there, D7 sus4, which resolves down to D7. You say, well, where do you use that? Well, the Beatles used it all over the place. No, I feel fine. He does a. So that's dominant 7 sus4. Sting uses it in Roxanne. There's a G7 sus4 right there. And I Feel Fine, John Lennon sings, baby, do 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 do. So he's going between the 5th flat 7 sus4 to 3rd on that. Da, 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 da. Number 1 song right there. Dominant 7 sus4. It's in Roxanne. Sting uses that all over the place. That's a very common chord sub for him, and that's right out of jazz. You also have the dominant 11th chord. Dominant 11th chord is in every Earth, Wind, and Fire tune, pretty much every tune from the 70s. Every yacht rock type song, that would be a chord like this. And it's used, it'd be an A dominant 9 and 11. Okay, so people would use that, for very commonly used as another kind of suspension. So dominant 9/11 to major. I could find 1,000 songs that use that. That's one of the most common chords. It can also be resolved to a dominant 9 or dominant 7 flat 9 in jazz, but typically in pop music, in Earth, Wind and Fire, all over the place. In R&B, it's used all over the place. It's one of the most common dominant substitutions in R&B. That's dominant 11. Then you have dominant sus 4/3. This is not as common. This is a kind of a sound that I like. That would be something like this. Okay, that's more of like Radiohead sound. So you've got the flat set, you got the root, flat 7, third, and the sus 4. That's why I call it sus 4/3. You could call it a dominant 7, add 4, and you would not be incorrect. It's a great sound. Here would be a major 7, add 11, not as good, but dominant with the added 11th there, or dominant 7, sus 4/3 is killer sound and be really great. I could use E minor, C major, to A dominant 7 with a sus 4. You like that voice lean? It's cool there. It's really, really interesting. Whoa, where'd that come from? You know, dominant 13. I did a video where I talked about Kid Charlemagne, Steely Dan, and they use 13th chord on that. Larry Carlton plays in his solo over that B flat 13 chord. Once again, instead of using B flat major, use B flat 13, B flat, A flat, D, G. Okay, so here's a B flat 7, B flat with a 13. That's just a substitute dominant chord that you can use. Dominant 9, same kind of thing. You'll hear dominant 9 like that. Obviously in blues, you know. But that can be used, that dominant 9 can be used if I did, you know, use out of a line cliche. A minor, A minor major 7, A minor 7, to D7 or D9 to D minor 9, like I done earlier, to D flat 7 sharp 9. That would be my next dominant substitution. That sharp 9 chord is used in Steely Dan all the time. It's used in Jimi Hendrix, right? That's the Hendrix chord. Alice in Chains uses it in the tune, what's the one I did? Them Bones, first chord of Them Bones. Dominant 7, sharp 9. Another substitute for a straight power chord. Cool sound, but that's the Hendrix chord that you all know, right? It's in Hey Joe. Great sound. And then we have the dominant 9 with the third and the bass. Okay, that is was commonly used. The church used it in trying to think of Under the Milky Way. Great song. So that's your dominant 9. Dominant 9, so it'd be D9 in first inversion. I have F sharp in the bass. So you could use, it's nicer, you know, if I did E minor 7, or come from C major, Pearl Jam, you know. And really great, coming off of A minor. F major 7. So those are some chord substitutions that you can use for major chords, minor chords, and dominant chords. That will make your songs sound 1,000 times more interesting. It gets you out of the predictable chord progressions, the 4, 1, 6, 5s, all that kind of stuff. You can still do the same chord progression, but by using these added notes to the chords and enriching the sound, it'll make your melodies sound more interesting. Also, when you play those chords, it makes you think differently. If I played this chord like this is a, it's hard chord to grab, but I'm doing like a B flat, sus4, or B flat sus2 with a major 7 on top. It's a great sound, right? And this, there's my sus2 with a sharp 11 on the top. And that will bring out really a lot. I think it'll make you think of much more creative and interesting melodies. Okay, questions?
Is there a difference between chord substitution and chord enhancement?
No, these are chord enhancements too. I mean, it's you know, chord extensions, you could call it. I call them chord substitutions because you're, because the way that I want you to think about it is as a chord substitution. Instead of playing D major, I want you to think of D11. Okay, so it's really a substitution in your brain. You know, that particular chord, or if you did something like this. This is another where you have a dominant 7th with the 7th in the root. So this would be A7 over G, but really it acts like it's a great sound if you're coming from G to A over G. So it's like a Lydian chord, and you'll hear Sting use that all the time in The Police. He did Truth Hits Everybody on the first Police album is amazing. Truth Hits Everybody. You guys know that song? You should know it. Listen to the first Police album. It's amazing. That's used in a punk rock setting, and it works really, really well. But you'll hear people like Pat Metheny use that progression all the time. It's a great progression to solo over. Right? Really, really cool. Truth Hits. Somebody knew that. You want progressive rock chords? Those are all progressive rock chords, bro. Or sis. Whoever. Listen to every Police record. I second that. Stevie Wonder uses these kind of sounds all over the place. You want sad chords? I gave you some sad chords. You want a sad chord? When you get into your sad chords, what I think are sad chords, I get into chords like that, right? Or something like, you know, when you have the, something like that, if I go in. So I did like a sus2 over a G sharp. That's like Counting Crows use that in Good Night Elizabeth off the I love that tune. It's not in that key actually, but that is off the Recovering the Satellites record. That's one of my favorite records, but it's very sad. So So that'd be A sus2 over G sharp. And the reason it has a sad sound is because it has a flat 9 interval. Anything that has a flat 9 interval, it will give a sad sound. I'll give you another example of something with a flat 9 interval that sounds cool. So I wrote a song, the band Shinedown, I wrote a song on the first record with the singer Brent, and the song was called Lost in the Crowd. And the second chord in the song, so it starts out like this. Oh, wait, no. I'm trying to think of... I think that's because I can't remember. That was about 15 years ago. But I can't remember the words. But I use a C add 9 with a sus4, and it's a really beautiful sound, I think, because it has an E and F in it, that flat 9 interval, which gives it a real sadness. Instead of going. Much cooler to go. Love that chord. Should I offer it my hand and save a wish for one? Thanks, Joe. Joe, I I can't remember that song. I hope Brent's not offended. I love that song. That's one of my favorite co-writes. Is that on that first Shinedown record. I wrote that with Brent. That's the first song. I wrote a bunch of songs. I probably wrote, I don't know, 10 songs with Brent from Shinedown on between the first record and then the third record, which was that had Devour on it, Sound of Madness. And but that was the first song I wrote with Brent. I just met him down in Jacksonville where he was living. It's before the first record came out, and I just started playing those chords, and Brent just started singing the first verse immediately. He had the words, everything. I have a cassette of it. It was amazing. I remember we played it for Steve-O, their A&R guy, over the phone, and just a demo that he and I did, just the two of us. And I would love to find. I have it on a cassette somewhere, but it's really cool. But I use that chord. Whoops, C sus 4. It's C add 9 with the fourth together. It's just one of these, what I call voice leading chords. It's a great, great sound. HK, what's up? Brent Smith is such a powerful, is a powerful singer. He's an amazingly great singer. I need to talk about Shinedown some more. Please retune. You're trying to jam with me. I'd have to break my rule. You see this here? I still haven't done my video on this. This is the enemy right here, right here. You're gonna see a funny video that I'm gonna make on that. Okay. Any other questions, real quick? I gotta go here. This is good. Clip-on tuners suck. Todd is right. Brent is not 5'5". It's totally not true. Brent's probably about 5'7" or so. He's not short. He's average height. What about chromatics using those extra hipness? That 2 inches is 5'5" to 5'7" is a big difference. For what they cost in a pinch, clip-ons are very handy. Clip-on tuners are handy, but they look ridiculous when you leave them on the guitar. Take them off. What's my least favorite chord? I don't have a least favorite chord. It's tritone subs. This is not about we're not talking about chord usage and Roman numerals and things like that. This is chord enhancement if you want, or substitutions for pop songs, just ways of thinking of new chord progressions. Okay, one more time. What's the code, Carol?
So there's actually 2 codes active right now that they can use. It's RB746 and also RB702. Any of this will work.
RB746.
Or RB702. I'll
Okay.
copy it again here.
Well, just use one, Carol, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't see that this is probably Aaron, right? Put it on the website.
Oh, well,
So that's,
he didn't, Aaron put it on the website. HK, awesome, thank you so much. You gotta get the Beato book. That's the only way I can make videos. I don't make a lot of money because most of my videos get demonetized because I do things like use other people's music, because you can't teach music. You can't teach about music unless you play examples. And by me playing examples, I have my videos demonetized all the time. And you know that I play examples in almost every single video. So I don't make money from views on here. I'm able to keep my channel going and provide for my family by people buying my book, buying things on my website like that. You know, my mugs that have all the modes of the melodic minor scale and their formulas, and harmonic minor scale and harmonic major scale and double harmonic major scale. My Beato t-shirts, Beato, my Everything Music t-shirts, all that. You guys are awesome. Carol, anything else I need to talk about? Oh, masterclass here in Atlanta, 10 days from now, the 21st. There's no VIP tickets left, but there's still tickets for the masterclass. Come to Atlanta, hang out. It's live. It's going to be from 10 to 4. Lunch is provided. You can buy tickets on my website at rickbeato.com. You guys are the best. Thank you. I missed you. I was gone on vacation for 6 days. It drives me nuts when I can't do live streams. It doesn't drive me nuts going on vacation.
you did one.
I didn't do one when I was gone.
You did, with your friend.
Oh, with Pat, I did. You're right. I did one with Pat. It doesn't count. I wasn't really on vacation yet. That was the first stop. I got to tell you that story too. One. Talk to you later. Bye.